So this is our 2019 Keto Kickoff.
Yeah, new year.
A new year, new start for a lot of people. Um, and some people have been on it before and have maybe stumbled and need to get a restart. And so we have a bit of a different approach than many of the keto groups, which are more focused on macros. And you'll hear things like lazy keto and dirty keto and clean keto. There's lots of ways to keto. But the thing is that we do follow the Dr. Westman protocol. And Dr. Westman has helped over 50,000 patients lose weight, be no longer obese.
Or diabetic.
Or diabetic. Yeah, he's reversed the diabetes of type 2 diabetics for 98% of his patients that have had type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it works. His methodology works. His may in some ways seem strict, but what his way is like the most effective. It works for everybody. So that's kind of the reason we follow that. But let's first talk about, what is the ketogenic way of eating in the first place? To do that, you kind of have to talk about, the history of that. And back in the early 1900s, they had a lot of children.
It's been around a long time. It's been around.
They had children that were epileptic that were not responding to medications. And so this was something that they tried out as far as a way of eating, which was essentially just removing all sugars and grains and only eating high-fat foods and some protein foods. And they got the ratios up to such a point where all of a sudden they saw their symptoms disappear. There was a lot of brain healing and things of the such. So it's been around for a while. So there's a lot of people that do come on the ketogenic diet strictly for brain health. And for those people, it is important that they have the high fat ratio. And typically you'll see what a ketogenic diet is. It's a high healthy fat diet, a moderate or adequate protein, an extremely low carbohydrate diet. And what that does is it allows your body to enter the metabolic state called ketosis. So what that means is instead of burning sugar for energy, you're burning fat. That's right. And it does take a little bit of time. Your liver is full of glycogen too, full of sugar, so it has to dump that out.
It's going to take time to heal your...
And when that happens, sometimes you feel a little bit off, a little bit woozy. So you kind of have to get through that process, but we'll talk about that too a little bit. And the typical macros are, so when I say macro, there's 3 macronutrients, right? A micronutrient is like, vitamin A, vitamin C, things like that. A macronutrient is fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Those are the 3. And of those 3, 2 of them are vital for your life. And that'd be fat and protein. You don't need carbohydrates to live. But if you don't have protein or carbohydrates,
protein or fat,
you will you'll die. So they are vital macronutrients. And so for what you'll typically hear about the ketogenic diet is that the fat, they will say, eat around 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5%
carbs.
Yeah, 5% carbs. That is the classic definition of it. Dr. Westman has a little different take on it, and it's not so far off from that. It kind of works out to be very similar, but in his protocol is he recommends, what he says is to eat no more than 20 grams of carbs per day total, no matter what the percentage is, and eat fatty meats and vegetables that are like the leafy greens and the non-starchy vegetables.
Until the vegetables have the carbs.
So they have a little bit of carbs. So that's where you get your carbs. You eat that until you're full, and then you don't eat when you're not hungry. And that's his whole protocol. So while, I know that sounds very simple, and sometimes it seems like it's hard to execute, but we found that it really isn't too bad.
It's better to simplify it than when you first start. It's okay to kind of track your macros, but if that's too hard for you, just do it. Go keto with Casey says. Mm-hmm. And she takes it from Dr. Westman too.
Yeah.
Just simplify it. Just eat the 20 grams total per day of the carbs, your fatty meats. Don't eat unless you're hungry, and eat until you're full.
That's right. And so we also on our Facebook groups, we do have a food list that we use. And that's why I wish I could share my screen, but it's not allowing me to do that. But we have a
I
food list.
recommend you print that food list out
Put it on your refrigerator.
and
Yeah.
put it up there.
I mean, so basically at the top of that, we have that protocol, right? Eat less than 20 grams, eat until you're full, and don't eat when you're not hungry. But then it lists, the meats and the poultry and the fish and things that you can eat. So you focus on the things that you can eat and eat a lot of them, right? Eat until you're full. And that helps take care of those
cravings,
those
and
cravings,
carbs.
right? And it shows the vegetables. And so the one thing, it shows like salad greens. These greens, you can eat 2 cups of those a day. And you can have non-starchy vegetables 1 cup a day, not 1 cup of each type, but 1 cup total. And that will get you about, that'll keep you under your 20 grams.
Right.
Then your fats that are great. So you're eating your fatty meats, right? Which is great, which helps you get your fat ratio up. Sometimes that's enough.
Satisfies you.
Mm-hmm. If you need a little bit more, I mean, there's, you have avocado oil, olive oil, the fat, butter, coconut oil, things of that nature, which are great. Try to avoid things that are like the regular vegetable oils that we need. And we'll have a whole nother discussion about that. But those are omega-6 oils that they're damaged by the way they're processed. So they really, they're bad for inflammation. So that's a whole nother topic. And if you're here from the Keto for autoimmune diseases, that's kind of an important thing. Those vegetable oils are your enemy. Okay, that's the thing to think about. So again, that's the protocol. Take a look at that list. It tells you the foods also to exclude, which would be anything sugar. That would be honey, agave, brown sugar, white sugar, molasses, corn syrup, anything like that. High fructose corn syrup, again, an enemy.
And you will find sugar in just about all the processed foods.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the ingredients, it's on there.
Yeah. The root vegetables, the tubers, things like carrots and potatoes and sweet potatoes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's better to just avoid them. I mean, you could, obviously, if you eat just a small portion of them, you can eat that and stay under 20, but it's going to take up all your carbs for the day. So it's a math problem, right? Yeah. You want to make sure that you kind of keep under that 20. You have some choices. Also, any grains, all grains, because they're pretty much they're nutrient empty, and they always contain a lot of carbs. And the grains, especially if they're processed, if they're ground up, that just releases those sugars much easier and causes more problems and inflammation. Yeah. Another thing that's kind of hard for some people is fruit, right? Stay away from the fruit because it's a lot of sugar. You can do some things like berries. Berries are a lot less sugar. We have those once in a while.
Raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries.
Yeah, I mean, we have those occasionally in a small portion.
Very small portion.
But they're very good. They're very good, but
they're satisfying.
So that's it for that. So that's the definition of what is the ketogenic diet. Are you watching? Because I'm having to read.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Any questions or anything yet?
Nope, not yet.
No questions. All right.
Jocelyn joined. Good morning, Jocelyn. How you doing, baby?
All right. So we talked about what is a ketogenic diet. Again, please watch the replay if you missed that. If you have any particular questions, ask away. We'll try to cover those as we can. All right. So what is the best way to transition to the ketogenic diet? So we did a whole video on this, but I'll cover the highlights because your reasons matter that you want to do the ketogenic diet, right?
Right.
So that's one of the first things that we recommend is write those down. It's important that you understand to yourself, you communicate to yourself why you're doing some things, and helps you to be more successful.
Right.
So
it does help.
In our case, initially we realized we were very obese. All of our risk factors were very high, and I was told I was going to have to go on insulin soon. So to me, that was my motivation. A lot of people
I probably would have been right behind.
Yeah, a lot of people come on for different reasons. They might have brain issues that need healing, inflammation, autoimmune disease is another reason that people do it. Whether they need to lose weight or not, it's proven to be helpful for a lot of people. So those are reasons, and those are also reasons like if I eat this, make poor choices in food, I'm gonna be more inflamed. So
Yeah.
sometimes that's a motivation. If you remember why you're doing it, it helps you stay on track, right? So write those things down, create some long-term and short-term goals, like I'd like to lose 25 pounds in 3 months, things of that nature.
Be realistic.
Yeah,
Don't
realistic goals.
be too hard on yourself.
And if you're like us, this is the first diet you've ever done. And so you might want to write down the reasons that you failed in the past, what your triggers were, your temptations. Kind of think about those and how you can create strategies to get past those. If you have risks or concern, list those out, do some research on them, because there's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of people out there that, use scare tactics. You shouldn't do this because this will happen. Look it up. Do your own research and find out why it's best for you.
That's what we did.
Examine the risks as you need to. All right. So next would be making a personal assessment. So obviously you'd like to know what you're eating now, right? And the easiest way to do that is download some sort of a fitness app. We use MyFitnessPal. There's Carb Manager. There's a few others that you can just kind of track what you're eating before you start. Tell you how many carbs you're eating a day. You might find out you're eating like 400 carbs a day already, which is important to think about that. You want to know where you're at because that's going to differentiate how you transition.
Come here, Pika.
Don't call it, please. All right. Take your measurements. Yeah. Take your weight.
I wish I had when we first started.
Yeah. At first,
I have recently. So.
Yeah, as first as you're tracking, don't try to limit. You know exactly where you are.
Puppy joined us.
All right.
Told you she would. I knew she would.
I have 2 puppies next to me now. All right. When did we start and how much weight have you lost? My doctor put me on it so I can lose weight, but to get my cholesterol under control. Yeah, we started in August of 2018. And so far I've lost 63 pounds.
Lost 44.
Yep. So pretty significant amount of weight.
Between 44 and 45 sometimes. Right. I go up and down.
That's a good question, Anne. I appreciate you asking.
Women hold, they retain water more than men.
Have more hormones.
So our bodies will fluctuate a little bit more. So when the scale goes back up a little bit, don't be too hard on yourself because it will go back down and then it might really drop. So just, wait it out. It's just a woman thing. We retain water. We have hormones to deal with. We have premenopause, postmenopause. I was told by the doctor that I could not lose weight at my age. I'm 50 now. I was also told because I have had Hashimoto's hypothyroidism that, you're never going to lose weight. Well, I proved the doctor wrong, and I did it for myself, and I'm feeling much better because of it. So don't let somebody tell you shouldn't or you can't. Just hang in there.
Just hang in there. So we were, again, talking about how to transition to a ketogenic diet. So we started by basically getting your personal assessment. Now from there, there's 2 ways you can go about it, right? You could go cold turkey and go right to less than 20 grams of carbs a day and hit the food list. And some people do that.
Yeah.
Some people are successful at it. But, we want you to have a better chance at being successful, right? So one thing we recommend, if you're already eating a lot of carbs every day, we think you might be better off stepping it down, doing things like cutting out sugary drinks, sodas and juices, stop eating processed foods, kind of step it down over a week or 2 until you can more comfortably make that transition. Partly because if you do it rather quickly,
we transitioned. We did low carb for a long time.
Yeah, we didn't just jump right into 20 carbs. Again, some people can do that. Do
Ann
it.
wants to know, have you done or do cheat meals?
We do
not. We do not allow ourselves to do that because, then you're on a roller coaster and you're messing up your liver is having to process the sugars again. And then you come back and then it's storing the fat. I just think that's just going to mess you up more and take you longer to lose the weight.
Yeah. When we were doing low carb, we used to do cheat meals. So we would take a haul a day, which would become a haul a week, which would become a haul a month.
Yeah.
And we would just keep finding excuses. Well, I've been really good to myself, so I'm just going to go out and have Indian tonight, right? And then the next day we would do something else, and we'll have pizza. Well, we're being pretty good.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
We were never consistent. And so the moment that we went keto and we decided to really take it seriously.
Really stuck with it.
We have not had any sort of a cheat since September.
Yeah, we had key lime, one piece of key lime pie between us. It was pretty small.
And it was not satisfying.
We weren't satisfied. I didn't feel good the next day. So it's you got to think of the consequences too.
Yeah, again,
you go back and forth.
Don't know if you caught it earlier, but part of those things is writing down the reason you do this. And some of those things, the food makes me feel not great. So that's one of those things that might help you stay on track. Plus, we have such fantastic meals, right? We're eating, lamb chops and ribeyes and ground lamb and hamburgers.
We go to Walmart and we get great prices on this. So we're not spending a lot.
And great vegetables like asparagus and Brussels sprouts and broccoli and mashed cauliflower. So we eat so well, the need for a cheat meal just isn't there. And so the only thing we might face occasionally is like a sweet craving. I'm finding more and more that just eating some fatty meat takes care of that. But we also
he's got the sweet tooth, but I'll go ahead and I'll make some chocolate mousse or something.
Yeah, with sugar-free stuff in it. I like it occasionally, but to me, eating fatty meat has just been fantastic for that. So those are the two ways that you can go, and either are fine, whatever works best for you, whatever gets you quickest down to that 20 grams of carbs per day in a safe manner. I think that's fine. All right, so the next thing we'll talk about is a common question. Well, how long does it take to get into ketosis? And all right, so assuming that
everyone's different.
Everyone's a little different, but assuming that you are consistent and having stable at 20 grams of carbs per day or less total, not net. And let's talk a little bit about what net is. A lot of people will use the net carbs because they subtract fiber, and if they're using artificial sweeteners, they'll say sugar alcohols and subtract those to come out with a net. The reason Dr. Westman says go total is because those can cause you to eat more carbs than you're actually knowing that you're eating. Because even things like chewing gum have a little bit of carbs. And if you get like 5 pieces of gum a day, and you might get
I didn't realize
10 carbs a day from that. So
I was chewing gum.
Yeah, it's better to count total. So that way, if you are realizing you're eating some things that are going over, you're a lot more likely to be closer to the 20 instead of 50. What Dr. Westman found in his place is that at 50 grams of carbs a day, 1/2 of the people can get into ketosis. At 30, 75%. At 20 carbs per day,
90%.
No, 100%. 100% of people went into ketosis. So how long does that take? The average person from 2 to 7 days. So 2 to 7 days of staying below 20 grams of carbs a day will get you into ketosis. Again, it depends on your metabolism. Some people are really insulin resistant, and it might take them a couple of weeks. But on average, 2 to 7 days. But there's more of an important question, and that is, how long does it take you to get fat adapt? Because you can show ketosis, right, and it doesn't really mean anything. There's other ways to get into ketosis besides staying below 20 carbs. You could drink exogenous ketones. You can buy those and drink them, and you will urinate those out. They'll be in your blood, and it'll show you in ketosis.
Doesn't mean it's
useless ketosis. So, right, you are burning ketones for fuel, but you're not burning it from your own body, and that's what matters.
That's why I think that it's best to stay away from those.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are purposes for if you're needing, help for your brain, if you need healing for those type of things. I think there are valid purposes for those, but for fat loss, no.
You want to lose the weight. You want your own body to use its own fuel.
Yeah.
And fat storage.
Also, so how do you know you're in ketosis? Also, would be there are the urine strips, which we use primarily.
Yeah.
There's the blood ketone meters, which are the most accurate. They're the gold standard, but they're also more expensive. The ketone strips do work. Sometimes they're not all that accurate, but they'll tell you if you're in or out. That's really all you want to know, how deep you're into it. It doesn't matter. There's no evidence that being into moderate ketosis is any better than trace ketosis. As long as you're in and you're burning fat. Because it also has to do with how well your body is processing those ketones, right? So it's a good thing there. Well, hi, Teresa. Glad to see you joined us. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So those are things. How long does it take? The one thing about being fat adapted versus ketosis, because really that's the goal, right? Ketosis is not actually the goal. Being fat adapted, burning fat is the goal. And so,
And again, everybody's different.
that tends, that'll happen fairly quickly as well. And we'll talk about how you know you are in a minute. And the one thing about this diet is, your body starts healing metabolism, and the happy side effect of that is weight loss. So sometimes that kind of follows a little bit after. Some people lose weight right away. Some people it takes a little bit of time. So that's just something to remember.
And the reason we started keto autoimmune disease is because we both have autoimmune diseases. And actually it's been an additional, we went into it to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And to help your pre-diabetic,
right,
diabetes.
Risk factors.
Yeah. But it's actually, everything's improved overall health-wise. So our labs came back great.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had my thyroid come back normal.
Yeah.
Not in all the, 20 plus years. It's almost 30 years now since I've had thyroid issues.
All right. So the next question that's very common is, well, how can I tell if I'm in ketosis? And that's why I said, typically the way people measure it is those urine strips
yeah.
and the blood ketone meters, the blood ones. And the blood ones are more accurate. The strips are less accurate, but you're just trying to do a go, no-go type thing. And one of the things we found is that, don't test when your bladder is full, like when you first wake up in the morning. Wait until you just have a normal urine in your body. Test that, see where you're at. And once you're starting, that turns a little pink, you're golden.
Unless you're dehydrated, then you can actually get a false reading of ketosis. So make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids.
Drink plenty of fluids. Yeah. So there's that. But like I said, the better question is, am I fat adapted? So there are other indications too, besides a meter, to tell you if you're in ketosis or you're becoming fat adapted. And one thing we noticed, and what most people notice, is that all of a sudden you're not hungry every 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
You can now...
Having that gone,
yeah, it's very freeing.
It's an incredible feeling to be free from food.
Mm-hmm. So, right now we eat 1 or 2 meals a day without a problem. Not saying do that right away as you're first starting out. Go ahead and eat normal, create a meal plan, etc. from that food list that we've published. And just eat when you're hungry. That's pretty much. By eating when we're hungry, it means we eat a lot less often. And so we're doing good. Yeah.
Is it important to get the strips?
Is it important?
If the goal is weight loss, do I really need those strips?
You don't need the strips.
No.
You
don't have on this diet. You don't have to buy anything.
No, you don't.
Actually, you're excluding food from your food list, so your
grocery bill will go down.
Will go down eventually.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't have to buy anything.
We do it. I guess just because I'm curious.
Yeah.
And I was doing it every day.
I bought some off of Amazon. They're pretty cheap.
You got them for like $10, I think, for a pack of about 200. So totally optional. But we definitely, we did it, and now I probably do it once a week just to, just to
I don't do it every day like I was
No.
doing. It's like.
Mm-hmm. All right. So another thing you might say, some people say their mind clears up. They had brain fog before, and
I did.
all of a sudden it clears up. They get mental clarity.
That happens with thyroid issues. So you get that mental fog, and I noticed that my brain was clearer. I think a lot better. I wasn't tired anymore. It's amazing how fast that happened too. I think within a month I was feeling a lot better, and Kevin was noticing, you're not tired.
She stopped taking naps.
Yeah,
she was taking naps every day, sometimes twice a day, because she was so out of
tired.
It. And all of a sudden I didn't notice, you stopped taking naps. I'm like, honey, you're not taking naps anymore. And she goes, oh, I hadn't realized it. So
I'm so hyper. I am so hyper. So it feels good.
It is cool. What some people also will notice is they get a little metallic taste in their mouth, and maybe a little bad breath.
They call it the keto breath.
Keto breath. So, chew a little gum, take some breath mints. And,
he had some horrible breath at first.
Yeah, at first, and for most people, it kind of passes, and maybe it kind of cycles up and down, and more because what it is, it's acetone coming out of your body, right?
Brush your teeth.
Right. So it's acetone coming out of your body, which is a ketone. So it's kind of an indicator. Matter of fact, they do make breathalyzers now for ketones. They're very expensive, but that's another way you can measure it. Also, I've read that that is a great way that your body is burning off fat is through your breath.
Yeah.
So either it's going out through your urine or through your breath. So it takes a lot of work to burn fat because it's got to convert it quite a bit.
Wants to know if it's unusual to lose 5 pounds after 3 full days on keto. No, it's water weight.
Mm-hmm.
Those first few days that you're losing weight, it's a lot of water retention because of all the sugar and stuff.
Yeah, carbohydrates by their very nature make you retain water.
And they swell you up.
Yeah, they swell your face up. Matter of fact, I weighed just a little bit less than this about 5 years ago when I was running and everything. And I look at those pictures and my face was still very swollen. So yeah, carbohydrates make you retain water. So you drop on those will be the very first thing that happens to a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people lose that weight initially. It's called the swoosh effect, where you just swoosh that water, weight swooshes off of you. And then you'll kind of stabilize for a while.
Yeah, and you might get a little frustrated later because you don't lose weight as quickly. Mm-hmm. But remember, in the first few days, it's water retention.
Right. So it's good to know. It's good to know what to expect, right? All right. So what are the, also you'll hear, okay, what are the keto macros? We talked about that a little bit already. What the typical keto macro is 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbohydrates. We don't typically use those macros. We use the Dr. Westman approach, which you'll find us repeating ourselves a lot here, but it's important.
Yeah.
And that is we eat fatty meat and vegetables until we're full. We don't eat when we're not hungry, and we stay under 20 grams of carbs per day. So by doing that, eating those fatty meats and vegetables pretty much gets you to those macros anyway, so we're not having to necessarily track that via an app tracker, and we're not, all stressed out about it. Oh, I only got 74% fat today and I ate 21%. It's really not as important as that. What makes the ketogenic diet work.
She's trying to get on video.
Want to get on video? Here's Nova. The ketogenic diet, it works because you stay below 20 grams of carbs, not because you're eating a whole bunch of fats, but you have to replace the carbs with something, right? There's only 3 macronutrients. There's carbs, fat, and protein. So if your carbs go down, your fat and protein by default have to go up if you're going to eat enough calories to get by, right? So that's what the macros are. Again, we did a whole video on that, so I recommend you go ahead and just check into that. All right, so what foods can I eat on a ketogenic way of eating? Again, we've posted our food list on that, but what it boils down to is eat fatty meats first of all, right?
Like ground beef, ground lamb,
ribeyes, chicken with the skin on. Don't get the skinless chicken now because you want the skin on.
Yeah, the skin's good for you. And who doesn't like crispy chicken skin anyway?
That's right. That's the best part of the chicken. We had
Bacon
hot wings last night that you cooked at home with the skin on. Oh my gosh, they were good.
I love making wings. I have cooked more now than I ever cooked before. And
of course, bacon. You gotta have bacon on a ketogenic diet, right?
Yeah.
Wrap bacon. Wrap bacon around things. So say for example, you have in your freezer some boneless, skinless chicken breasts.
Why, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, wrap them in bacon and cook them. Now you got your fat. So that takes care of it.
Stuff them with cream cheese and.
Yeah. We also eat a lot of eggs. Eggs are extremely nutrient dense, and that's one of them. Not just egg whites, mind you. The yolk is probably as important as anything within that because that's where all the nutrients in. If you think about how many nutrients are in a chicken or in an egg, it has enough nutrients to make a chicken, right? Those are the life source within that egg. So eggs are great. And they're very inexpensive. We don't typically buy, the organic pasteurized. Those are nice once in a while.
A lot of people make it, they're called the keto police. And if you don't buy
the Kardashian ketos, I call them, where everything's got to be grass fed and such. But that's, again, those are nice.
You don't have the money. You buy what you can.
They do have better nutrients, and we buy some, to supplement. But typically, we are buying the normal thing. So what I like to do is I buy the 60 egg carton from Walmart for under $6. So that's under 10 cents an egg.
Yeah,
So
it's awesome.
it's great. We buy the cheapest ground beef you can possibly find and the highest fat content. And so it's like $1.99 a pound. So it's difficult to beat that price.
Anne has another question.
Okay.
Anne said, I'm going between full and hungry. I drink water to make sure I'm truly hungry. Drink a gallon of water each day. Would you suggest eating a snack? You eat when you're hungry.
Eat when you're hungry. And what I do and what we've done is when we get hungry, we just go grab some fatty meat and eat it.
Yeah.
Because that will fill you up fairly quickly.
A lot of times I'll grab some lunch meat and cheese in the afternoon if I'm hungry. Yeah. And, you don't want to make a whole meal or whatever. Or you could fry up a hamburger or whatever.
Yeah. We have the hamburger patties in our freezer.
Eat when you're hungry. Don't deny yourself.
Never feel deprived. Yeah. Don't try to limit your calories, especially as you're just starting out. Okay?
I mean, don't deny yourself good food.
Good food, yeah. Good point. Eat the protein. Eat the fatty meat. Make yourself feel great.
Yeah.
And also the water thing, drink when you're thirsty, okay? I mean, it's not a bad tactic to try to...
I don't feel like you have to drink a gallon of water, but, drink definitely. On this diet, I drink a lot more than I used to.
Yeah, so when you're thirsty...
So I don't know how much
one of the things about a ketogenic diet, it makes you pee more.
Yeah, you're being in the bathroom a lot.
As you're peeing more, you obviously need to replace that water, and we'll talk a little bit about what else you need to take, as far as electrolytes, because that's important. All right, so continuing on, did that answer your question?
Yeah. And then Teresa said, bacon wrapped cabbage? Sure, you can do whatever you want. Bacon wrapped whatever. Mm-hmm. And fat bombs. That's right, fat bombs.
Fat bombs. Just don't overeat the fat bombs, okay? Because they can, they still typically they have artificial sweeteners in it. They have sugar alcohols, and so you just got to be careful.
When we first started, we did fat bombs maybe once, one little one. I mean little at night.
Yeah, when we got a sweet craving or something like that, it was great. All right, so leafy greens, above ground vegetables are also great. So broccoli, cauliflower, summer squashes. If you can tolerate dairy, high fat dairy, we put heavy whipping cream in our coffee. There's healthy saturated fats we talked about before, butter, coconut oil, mayonnaise, avocado oil, lard, tallow are all great ways to get
stay away from the vegetable oils.
Stay away from the vegetable oils. You don't necessarily need to add more fat to your diet, though. I will say this, as you're just starting out and you start feeling like, you're transitioning and you're having a carb crash, a little bit of coconut oil or MCT oil might be great because you're having an energy crisis, right? That's a great, quick way to get some energy. Again, we're talking about the topic is what can you eat on a ketogenic diet? So you want to eat less of, basically the sweeteners. Eat some, as you need a little bit, it's fine. Maybe put a dash in once in a while to help you drink your water. There's certain fruits that are fine that you can eat smaller amounts of. Some things you don't think of as fruits would be like olives and avocados. On our food list, you'll see like half an avocado a day is great. Maybe 6 or 7 olives a day.
Yeah. And when I have a salty craving, I turn to those olives.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of times, even your sweet and salty cravings are mixed up, right? You're thinking you want sweet, but if you go eat something salty or maybe put a little salt under your tongue, that resolves it. There's little tricks you can do for that, right? You might notice that on our list there are no nuts, right? And Dr. Westman talks about that. It's not that he's against nuts. Real nuts, by the way, peanuts are not a nut. They're a legume, and legumes are definitely off the list.
No peanuts, guys. That means no peanut butter.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I love it.
Once in a while should we grab some, but typically it's not helping you. It's bad for inflammation.
I haven't in months.
Yeah.
Because my weight loss slowed down, and I was eating peanut butter, and then I saw Go Keto with Casey, and I read her list, and she talked about it. I'm trying to stay away from the peanut butter. Actually, I don't need peanut butter.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason Dr. Westman is kind of against nuts for most people is that people tend to overeat them very quickly. They're calorie dense, right? So what he said, if you can count out 7, almonds or walnuts and eat those and be satisfied with that, then great. But if you're a person that just keeps on eating those nuts, well, obviously you're going to, you know, eat more calories. Calories still do matter to a certain extent. And so, you know, if you track it and make it part of your carbs and part of your calories, then that's fine, but it's just something to maybe think about. All right. And the foods to avoid are anything processed carbs, right? Obviously, grains, any grain. And I can remember, you know, I used to think I was eating so healthy at night. I'd have my honey bunches of oats, you know, I'm going to have a good bowl of granola at night.
Eating good.
I think I'm doing
oatmeal,
good. Yeah.
but then
Unfortunately, those are off the list.
There's sugar, so much sugar in cereal.
Yeah, if you think about it.
And if you do oatmeal, you're putting sugar in your oatmeal.
You're putting fruit and sugar and everything else. Anyway, you can't just eat plain oatmeal, right? It would be terrible. Yeah. Think of that if you eat shredded wheat, right, by itself, plain. Would you enjoy that? No. You know, high carb fruits, apples, bananas, oranges. Here's something I saw yesterday. So a bottle of Coca-Cola is 10% sugar. An apple is 10% sugar. Your body doesn't care if it's natural sugar or, you know, the liver don't care, right? It treats it the same way. So those are just some of the things about that. You know, the starchy vegetables, again, we're excluding those because they tend to be a little bit carbier as well. Yeah. All right. How would you, any other questions coming through?
No.
We're doing good. Anything else you guys got for us? I'm going to just kind of, before we move on to the next topic, let me know if you're finding this.
Sheree sent me a personal message, but she's not on yet. And she may not be able to hear us if she gets on.
Okay.
So I'll have to type her a message.
Yeah, Sheree, if you're hearing impaired or whatever.
She's not on yet.
Okay.
She's trying to find us.
We are going to be posting this on YouTube, and YouTube does have the closed caption option as well. So that might be a great way for you to watch this as well. We will definitely post it there. All right. So the next topic is, this is a question a lot of people get should I count calories on keto? And kind of, yes, I think you should. Yeah. So here's how this works.
Especially at first, you'll get it later on.
Right. I mean,
you'll know what
as you're first starting out, you don't want to focus on calories. I mean, you're wanting to first get yourself fat adapted, right? So first thing you'll do is go through that process of eating fatty meats and vegetables until you're full, and then don't eat when you're not hungry. And your body will automatically adjust itself once you start understanding how it works. Once you start listening to it, it'll tell you when you're full. And magically, that ends up being about what your calorie range is. So that works good. So more being cognizant of what your calories are. So I know that a pound of ground beef is 1,500 calories, right? My goal for the day right now, if I were to use my Fitness Pal, is about 1,650 calories. Oh, hi, Sheree. Let us know. I mean, we got a pretty good microphone here. If you can hear us, we'll try to speak up more if we can, or even slow down our speech.
I can always type our response to
That's
her,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
If you have a specific question, Shauna will type a response to you as well. So your body is self-adapting. Be cognizant of your calories. Don't worry so much about tracking it. Say if you go over 100 or whatever, it's all right because your body will adapt as it needs to. It also depends on your activity level. You know, if you're sedentary, what's amazing is Dr. Westman's protocol has helped people that are completely bedridden in a wheelchair. They've still lost weight. And the thing is you don't lose weight by exercise. You lose weight by modifying your diet. Exercise is to tone your body up. It's to help you get better after that. It's good for your brain, etc., but it's not for weight loss. So keep that in mind. Follow the protocol and you'll be all right. And if you start seeing yourself eating a lot, I mean, you know how much you need to eat, right? You know what I can eat a pound of ground beef a day and other vegetables and not have a problem, right? It works out great for me. I have trouble eating any more than that, right?
I can't eat as much as
she can't eat as much. She has a smaller range of what she can eat, and her body tells her, I can't eat that much.
I can eat about a fistful at dinner time now.
Yeah. So,
So my appetite is very
just
much
learn to listen to your
decreased.
body. And obviously, it's a lot easier to overeat carbs, right? So in your old days, when you were eating lots of rice, potatoes, and things like that, those are very easy to overeat. And because they have sugars in them,
They make you hungry.
a starch is nothing but a long chain sugar. And so it makes
A few hours later, you're starving
sugar
again.
makes you hungry, right? And that's just a fact. And that's just, so it will cause you to overeat. So by getting sugar out of your diet, you'll be less hungry and you'll tend not to overeat. All right. So any other questions on calorie? We can do more videos on those later. So we can just dedicate whole videos to that if you guys like.
Right.
By the way, if you do have a topic you'd like for us to cover, send us an email, ketomojogogo@gmail.com. Put it in the comments. Put it on our Facebook group. Just let us know. We'll be glad to create topics for our videos for those topics. All right, the next question. This is very, very common, and you're gonna think about. Everybody thinks about this. I promise you, because everybody does it. So the question would be, hey, I've been on keto for X number of weeks, and I've only lost X number of pounds. What am I doing wrong? Right? What is going on there? Right? So the first thing you've got to remember is, don't look at other people, right? Because you'll look on the internet and you'll see these people that, oh my gosh, they've been on keto for 2 weeks and they've lost 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Why isn't that happening for me?
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. And I will say this, the higher your BMI is, the further you are away from your goal weight, the more likely you are to lose weight faster, right? And that's just kind of normal thinking, right? It's the same thing if you run or whatever. The more weight you have to lose, the easier it is to lose poundage up front. And the other thing is, some people experience that really rapid weight loss because they just lose a lot of water really quickly, right? They were retaining water and then they dump it. So that's one of the things to think about. Another thing is, and I don't have listed on the fact that I'm looking at right now, but is medicines. There are some medicines that make you hold on to weight and make it harder to lose weight.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Had to refresh.
No problem. So those are some of there's a lot of factors that make it slower for some people to lose weight. So you'll find that, okay, so some people lose weight initially pretty good at first, and then just about 100% of the cases you will see a plateau, right? And that is because now
You're going to hover sometimes.
you're going to hover, but initially the first time especially, it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks that you might not see another change. And that has to do with your liver, right? So your liver, most people that are on this that are obese or are on this for fat loss, it's because they have a fatty liver. So the first thing that your body has to do is get all that fat out of your liver. So it's the easiest fat, the first fat that's got to burn. As that fat's not as burning, you're not necessarily losing weight, but it is healing your liver. Then when all of a sudden that fat from your liver is gone, then you might see it slowly start to lose weight again. And that's then the trend. That's when fat burning from the rest of your body occurs, and that's when the weight loss occurs.
Sheree had a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, need to ask a question. I am a diabetic, as you know, and also have to take blood pressure meds. So to watch my fat content along with my carbs, how do I go about doing this diet? I was told I can't totally cut out all carbs because my sugar level would bottom out. I already have low numbers now if I don't eat any carbs.
All right, so
you definitely need to stay under your doctor's care.
Yeah, definitely under your doctor's care. Dr. Westman spends a lot of time talking about this, as well as Dr. Finney. We have videos on both of those. And type 1 and type 2 diabetics, right? Same, very similar process. And the fact that as you start eating less carbs, you might need to back off on your insulin. And that's just, or your metformin or whatever, because your body is producing less carbs.
That's why you have to stay under doctor's
That's
care.
definitely why you have to stay under
We don't want
care.
you to crash, and we're not doctors.
So you have to track it that much closer. I did the very same thing, right? I was on metformin. I was about to go on insulin, and I noticed I was testing my blood, and it was starting to drop. Talked to the doctor, and she took me off the metformin. So, that's kind of how that
You
works.
have to be
So
very, very careful.
same thing with the blood pressure medicine, right? It initially started dropping, so she cut my blood pressure medicine in half,
Which has never happened
right? It's never happened.
since he's been
And
in
now
his
it's kind of a
20s.
torturous path as it goes up and down, trying to work its way down. Sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's lower. But so I'm checking that throughout the day just because I want to be very careful with it. But it does have that effect. Again, I really say look into Dr. Westman's approach because he has type 1 diabetics, he has type 2 diabetics. As far as the type 2 diabetics, 98% of people have been able to get off all of their diabetic medications. 2% not quite. They're still on a little bit. And type 1 they still have a lot of benefits because it still allows their insulin level to stay at an even keel instead of being hyperinsulinic, which causes a lot of diseases. And the other thing is that we're finding that this hyperinsulin causes inflammation. Inflammation is the core of most of the chronic diseases that we have.
And let us know if you can make all that out, Sheree. If not, Kevin will give you a response later and let you know what to do. And in your situation, it's a lot different.
Yeah, just
and
be very
everybody
careful.
has to be cautious.
All right, Arlene Zalonka. Hi, guys. She says, hello, Arlene. She says, do you usually count your green veggies? All right, so we have a food list on our Facebook group, and we use Dr. Westman's protocol. And what he's pretty much says is if it's green leafy vegetables, you can eat 2 cups a day of those. And the non-starchy vegetables or cruciferous vegetables, 1 cup. So yes, we do count those. I know a lot of people say, well, they don't count, but they are still carbs, and he wants you to stay under 20 grams of carbs a day. And that's still quite a bit of vegetables, right? That's a good amount of, we like mashed cauliflower, we like broccoli, we like our zucchini. We'll make our spiralizer and make some zucchini spaghetti sometimes. It's really good.
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts.
That's not leafy green, but
that's a cruciferous though.
Yeah.
And so, we eat them, but we do count them. Okay.
And since I have IBS, I have to be more cautious on what vegetables I do eat. And that's, we have a new follower that has IBS. So, you just got to be careful. You'll find out which vegetables set you off.
Yeah. The thing is, the ketogenic diet is a classic exclusionary diet. So if you're having certain health issues or whatever, maybe IBS or inflammation, it's gluten-free as well, right? So a lot of people will use it to find out what food sensitivities they have. Shauna has an issue with cabbage, she's found out, right? So if she eats cabbage, she starts getting a little bit of IBS breaking out, so she has to back off on that. So it really, you have to just learn to listen to your body. What is good for you? What eats? All right, so I'm still finishing up that question, which is I've been on keto for X number of weeks and I've not lost much. I've only lost 10 pounds and everybody else has lost 20. What's wrong with me? The other thing I would say is you are comparing yourself to others, which don't do that. Just
we don't need to compare ourselves.
Compare yourself to yourself and what you're doing.
Some people don't lose but 40 pounds a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's at a different rate. They don't give up either. They just keep with it.
You didn't put on this weight in 1 year.
Yeah.
You put it over time. So it's better to lose it at a decent rate, and it's probably more healthy that way. The other thing is, setting those realistic expectations, right? If you're thinking that, hey, I'm going to go on keto and I'm going to lose 25 pounds in 5 minutes, maybe reset that.
Yeah.
Just, the most important part is just get healthy first, right? Yeah. Weight loss is a happy lagging indicator of your improving health. Your improving health should be the most important part.
I still don't like looking at me live. I don't. But I am.
But you're more confident than you were.
I'm
right?
44 pounds lighter, so that's a lot of fat. So it's not going to happen overnight, but I'm sticking with it. Mm-hmm. Not giving up.
Cool. All right. So next question or topic is, maybe you haven't heard of it yet, but it's called the keto flu. How do I avoid that keto flu? First thing is to understand what that really is. All right. So remember, we talked about that transition phase earlier. How do I transition? Well, if you jump right from, say, 300 carbs a day to 20.
Okay, Sheree, see you later.
Yeah. There are some things that are happening in your body, right? So you're very used to having those easy sugars to eat or to use as fuel, all of a sudden they're gone. And so you might be experiencing a carb crash. So, you basically have to get used to the fat metabolizing instead of the sugar metabolizing. Something you might do is a lot of people say, well, just eat some more sugar, eat some carbs, they'll help you through it. That's kind of like saying if you're trying to quit cigarettes, hey, or have a cigarette. That just totally doesn't make sense to me at all. Just stick to it. You might try eating a little bit more fat, like some butter, some coconut oil. If you've got some MCT oil on hand, which is a medium chain triglyceride, which comes from coconut oil, that metabolizes really fast. Right. And helps get to your brain. It might help you get through that. But the point is just hang on, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're not accustomed to it. The other thing is, you are on the ketogenic diet. You're urinating a lot more than likely, right? So the electrolytes that are normally in your system, salt, magnesium, potassium, calcium, are exiting your body at a faster rate than you're used to. So you might need to take on a little bit more, eat a dish more salt. Matter of fact, there's a new guideline that says you should be eating 5 milligrams of sodium a day. Yeah. That's like 2 teaspoons of salt every day that you can add to your food.
Don't be afraid of the salt.
Yeah, obviously you need.
If you got high blood pressure,
be aware of it. But I have high blood pressure, and salt is not.
It's not
impacting it one way or another, right? So, and I'm testing it all the time. But the problem is you're losing those electrolytes. You need to replace them. So that's just kind of one important thing there. So the next question would be, hey, I've got the keto flu. I feel terrible. I feel like I'm just feeling awful. Don't eat more carbs, please.
Grab some pickle juice.
Hey, yes, pickle juice works great for Shauna.
It works for me. Yeah.
Also, Powerade Zero.
Crazy.
Powerade Zero has been great for
you. Don't like pickle
just a
juice.
swallow of it, right? You don't need to hold a whole bottle of it, but just something to all of a sudden get that into you.
Actually, it makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah. Again, a little bit more dietary fat. Have an avocado.
Oh, I love it. Put some salt.
Butter. Use a lot of fat in your food. Like, if you're using ground beef, use the really fatty stuff and use it as a gravy. It's great. So those are great. Some of the things that you might, for symptoms, so if you're having dizziness or headache, confusion, salt, or maybe some chicken bouillon is another great one for that. If you're feeling irritable, lethargy, confusion, magnesium supplements, hemp seed, some people use. You're feeling a little dizzy.
I get muscle spasms at night if I don't take magnesium supplements. So you might have the leg cramps that a lot of people have experienced.
Some slow release magnesium has been helping in that case. You can get that on Amazon, I think, for like $10 for 60 of them. So it's not expensive, and everybody should probably be taking it. Most Americans are magnesium deficient, and we don't realize it.
Yeah.
If you're a little dizzy, maybe if your blood pressure is a little low. You have fatigue, maybe a little constipation. It might mean you are a little bit of a potassium deficit. Do not take potassium pills. Instead, get it from your diet. And the best places to get that from your diet:
spinach, avocados,
ground beef. Beef is loaded in potassium. So eat more red meat. No matter what other people might say, the red meat is fantastic. All right, so that covers all of those topics I wanted to cover today. Does anybody else have any other questions that burning questions that they're wondering about? Let's talk a little bit about the autoimmune disease, because we recently started this Keto for Autoimmune Disease Facebook group, and that's exploding, right? It's just blowing up, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want to do. We want people to come in and help each other out. Share your experiences, etc. But the thing is so a couple of things. It helps most people. The ketogenic way of eating is an exclusionary diet that takes a lot of these processed foods out of your diet that is causing inflammation.
Our rheumatologist was fully supportive of it because it is an anti-inflammatory diet.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. But I will also say that some people, a small subset, feel an initial worsening of their pain. And I'm going to tell you my theory on that is you've been eating poorly for, in our case, 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And so as we've gotten fatter, as those fat cells are in your body, they also hold all those toxins that you've been eating over this time.
And so you're going to get rid of those toxins.
Right.
Your
So
body's going to fight it. To
your
get rid of it.
body, well, your fat cells will shrink. Your cholesterol will be dumped into your bloodstream.
Mhm.
All these toxins are dumped into your bloodstream. So guess what your body is going to have to deal with one more time? All those toxins that you ate in the past are coming back out again. And so for some people, they feel for a little while an excessive level of pain. It seems to go up.
I did.
Yeah. And then, they want to quit. Oh, keto didn't work for me because I feel more pain. But write it out. Keep on your autoimmune medicines as you need to. In my case, I had the opposite. I got better. I actually had to get off my autoimmune medicines because I started having bad side effects that I wasn't having before.
Yeah.
I stopped taking them.
His body was doing so well on its own that,
right.
And then they have the medicine on top of it.
It didn't need it. So, but again, that's everybody. It's like an N equals 1. Everybody is their own test case here, right? So just keep that in mind. Most people do see an initial feeling better being on keto and their inflammation. Small subsets, it has to get worse before it gets better. So just keep that in mind. But that's it. I mean, I think that's what we've covered today. We have another question. Okay. What's the question? What do you think about CBD oil? Hyaluronic. I really don't know. I haven't done any research on it.
We don't do it ourselves, but I've heard other people.
There are people that do it strictly for autoimmune by itself. And so let me put it, it's not part of the ketogenic protocol. If it helps you, great. But as far as you don't need to buy one single thing to be on keto. You don't need to buy any special foods. You don't need to buy any special supplements. You just need to eat good food, real food, no processed food. If you find that CBD oil helps you, more power to you. Maybe one day I'll try that, but it's not something that we are pushing. I don't believe in it. I don't disbelieve in it. It's, that's a nice test
I
case.
don't know.
We don't know.
I've done
I think
research.
it very well may.
Doctor. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one that really does the oils, but yeah.
Some of the times that seems to fall into this multi-level marketing thing, and I don't want to avoid that.
Yeah, and we're not selling anything.
We don't sell anything. We don't sell any products. We just want to help people.
To help you, and we need your support.
And someday we might make some T-shirts or hats or cups or something like that. And if people want to buy some of those, that's awesome. Yeah. That's great. But that's all for fun, right?
We are planning on doing that. That sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm. But we're not going to sell you a product to help you lose weight. I don't think that there's such a magic bullet that exists. Hey, speaking of magic, that reminds me, if you haven't yet seen the documentary on Netflix called The Magic Pill,
watch it.
Highly recommend it. It's great motivation as well. Watch it twice.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing on there, the benefits that people had. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. We have been on for just over an hour. This has been a lot of fun.
It has.
I think we've covered a lot of information.
Where'd that hour go?
Yeah. Feel free to rewatch this. I'm going to post this on Facebook, on our Facebook channel, Keto Mojo Go-Go. Please subscribe there as well. So when we post a video there, you'll see it as soon as it happens. Because one thing I'm frustrated with Facebook, I can't share my screen. I really wanted to do that, and I can do that with Facebook. So,
or with YouTube.
I'm with YouTube. But we'll continue doing this because Facebook is giving us a lot more traffic right now. So, and that's what we want. We want people to interact. We want you to be part of this, right? So, all right, guys. Well,
Teresa said, thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. Thanks for
Thank you, everyone that's watching. We really appreciate you guys.
Be sure to share this with your friends, okay? We really want to help everybody, okay? You guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.